everyone, my name is Amanda and today I have a very exciting video to share with you guys because today we are talking all about classics. I know there is an ongoing debate whether classics are worth reading, and I won't even get into that, but I feel like classics are a genre that I personally don't have too much experience with, and I really want to change that. Not because there's any shame in reading anything else or in not reading classics, but I just feel like there are so many references in books I read. So first, I just want to state that I don't read classics because it's prestigeful or anything like that. I just want to check out the genre because one of my goals for this year is to read a lot of different genres, and I guess that's how classics come into it basically. So I have compiled a list of 12 classics that I want to read this year, and I would love to know your opinions about these books and if they are actually worth reading, because I'm planning to place an order for new books really soon. So I would love to know if you have any favorites on this list and if there is just some that I should skip basically. And that was pretty much the longest intro in this entire world, so just let us jump straight into it. So the first book I have to show you is a book that I started reading yesterday and I haven't read that far, 14 pages approximately, and it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And I have not read anything by Jane Austen. I see this as an iconic love story for some reason. I don't know the story. I've heard the names being mentioned here and there, but I wanted to check out it for myself, and so far, I mean 14 pages in, I'm enjoying it I guess, but it's too early yet to make any real predictions. Some of these books I have only heard the names and I don't really know what they're about. This next one is definitely one of those, and it is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I do believe that this is a science fiction novel. Do not quote me on that. I mean, it's one of those books that when you search for most epic classics, it just pops up on every list. So I'm very interested in checking it out. The next book I'm really excited to read this year that I know I will be buying are the Lord of the Rings books, and The Hobbit is included in that list as well. And I mean, they're my favorite movies of all time. They're fantasy, they're just these iconic fantasy books that I think you should have read, but that's just my opinion, but I need to join the bandwagon. So the next two books that I'm really interested in picking up are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And I've seen the Disney movies, I've seen Tim Burton's movie, and I think the story is pretty well known. Alice jumps down a rabbit hole and discovers this new world, and I want to read it because there's always so much more to the stories than movies portray, and especially Disney, they always Disneyfy, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I want to check out the original story basically. The next book I have is another one of those I don't really know what they're about, and it is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, I think. And this might be a sci-fi novel or Fahrenheit 451. I'm not sure, I kind of mix those two up a bit in my mind. And I don't have any notes in front of me, I'm just doing this from memory basically. And I want to read this because that is also one of the titles that pops up everywhere, and I want to check it out basically. The next one I have is another iconic one, and that is The Great Gatsby. I really want to check it out because there's so many great reviews about this book, and I know that Raylene from Padfoot and Prongs really enjoys it, and I think that is also one of those really iconic classics, and I want to see what the fuzz is all about basically. So the next classic I really want to read is a short story, I believe, and I want to read it closer to Christmas because it is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And we just read Great Expectations for school and I didn't enjoy it as much, but I really do appreciate his writing, and I want to venture more into his works basically because I think he works really cleverly with language, and around Christmas time I think that would be a perfect story to read. Another story that I don't know too much about is Jane Eyre that I really want to check out, and I'm thinking about buying the Penguin Classics Deluxe editions because they're just so pretty, and this is definitely one of the more prettier covers in that range, and I've heard great things about this book. Want to check it out. That's about it. Another classic that I want to read is Lolita, which is supposed to be a really strange and maybe offensive novel, and I've heard that the protagonist isn't to trust, and that just intrigues me very much. And I do believe it is about a teacher who falls in love with a student-ish. Either way, it is a older man who falls in love with a younger girl, and it's very taboo, I believe. I want to check it out because it intrigues me, basically. Next, I have another book that has been made into a movie, and that is one of my favorite movies, and it is Peter Pan. And I love the story of Peter Pan, and I really want to read it because books are generally better than movies, which I think we have established about now, and that's why I really want to check it out, because the story is just a really interesting one and I really like it, and I want to check it out, like I've said about all the other books in this video, basically. The second to last book that I really want to check out is a book that Helene from Helene Jeppesen mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, and that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And I have seen the movie, like the new movie, and so I'm familiar with the story. I haven't read anything by Oscar Wilde before, and Helene really likes it, and I just think it sounds really great. The last book I'm going to mention in this video is a book that I came across through school, basically, and it is Flowers for Algernon. I can't even pronounce that name. It is basically about experimenting with the brain, if I've gotten things right, and also experimenting with making someone smarter, I guess. It just sounds really interesting, and I would love to read it, and I want to check it out. So that was 12 classics that I want to read this year. Of course, there are more classics on my TBR, but these are some that I think about buying at this moment. And I would love to know if you have read any of these. What are your favorite classics of all time? I would love to know, because it's a genre that I really want to venture more into, if that makes sense. And once again, I just want to clarify that if you don't want to read classics, you don't have to read classics. It's just that I want to try to read more different genres and try out new books that I have heard about but that I don't know about, basically. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, because that would help me out a lot. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see all of you guys in my next video, so stay tuned. Bye.